Well, tonight we're going to be talking about how the Starcruiser isn't quite going to be what we thought it was going to be, but the good news is the cannons are working on Rise, and of course, I think they hear what we're talking about, Communicore Hall, all that and more tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for February 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to this channel. We'd love that. Also, give us a thumbs up. We'd like that, too. Chat along with us if you're listening or watching live. And, of course, we want to introduce you to tonight's illustrious panel, starting with Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
And good evening to you, Desi.
For the order.
For the order, indeed. And of course, Stephanie. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm here, and happy Galentine's to everybody on the panel tonight.
Yay.
Even me? Aww.
And you, Rob.
Honorary Galentine. That's so sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being with us. And tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about everything. We talk about Disney Parks news on here. We're going to start with talking about the Galactic Starcruiser. Kids, sit back. There was a time when there was a magical thing called the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. It was a Star Wars hotel / experience that happened long ago in a parking lot far, far away. And then in May of 2023, they dashed our hopes and dreams and said, hey, you know what? This isn't quite working out. We're going to close this thing for a hot minute, and then they were going to take a tax break on it, and then Josh came back in an interview and said, wait a minute, I'm your hero, I'm your Huckleberry, something will happen with the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, and for sure something is happening. It is becoming a place to house Imagineers. Honestly, you know what? Good. Make them sit in that thing and figure out something better that they could do with this. We had to bump Shannon, and Shannon is, she's very sad, but because Desi was like, step back, I have some things to say about the Starcruiser. She was very brutal about it. It was, oh my gosh, it was almost embarrassing. No, it wasn't. Yeah, Shannon's not feeling well, and Desi was like, great, I want to talk about the Starcruiser, so this is your opportunity. Go for it. What's up? How you feeling?
I'm so sad because I really hoped that it would come back in some capacity. I mean, in my dream of dreams, it would come back exactly as it was, but cheaper. But, I didn't think that would actually happen. But I thought, it could come back as a dinner show. It could come back as just a regular hotel without the full experience. Something other than just turning it into offices. And that just breaks my heart that they have taken what was such an incredible experience and just turned it into office space. It's really got me considering a job in Imagineering, not because I actually want to be an Imagineer, but just because I want to go back in that building.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, by the way, I'm repping with my Halcyon shirt that I just noticed tonight while I pulled the tag off. It was like twice as much as any other Disney t-shirt. Because they were just like, hey, I'm in the Halcyon. They're like, we're just doling it out. So when we were talking about it before, when we got the news that this is all gonna kind of, it was going to be closed down, immediately it sold out. Every last date was taken. We had to fight to get in, and we all had our experiences, and Stephanie, Kamila, and Desi and I all got on a ParksCenter and talked about how our experiences were. So you can go back and check that out. But we all had theories that what's going to happen next, and we were like, oh, well, they could take this, take day guests over there and have them, do some kind of an experience, like a tour, an experience during the day, or do a dinner show, or just use it as a hotel. And I'm going to go to Stephanie next on this one. So none of us had on our dance card the idea that there was going to be Imagineers holed up in here.
You didn't have that on your bingo card, Rob? Come on.
I did not.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think of that. But I think this is not the first time they've done something like this. Didn't they use the Wonders of Life Pavilion for Imagineers when they were doing Guardians, and the Walcott that never was, always is, becoming whatever?
Yep.
So yeah, I guess this is something that that they tend to do and just reuse space. But I absolutely still think that they should do a dinner show. I think that, like you said, they get in there and they realize what they've got and how they can monetize it along the way. So hopefully, yes, hopefully it does eventually become something else.
Well, and I remember at the time having conversations with people who were like, "Great, now I can actually get in there and see what this was about." Because the problems, and I think we've all pinpointed it. Even Ginny, Ginny and her 4-hour video, all like pinpointed the
I love
idea
that,
with this.
but that's not. I love
Okay,
that
well, we're
video.
gonna, yeah, but I
It's
think we
so
all
wrong in so many ways.
got it we got it down to marketing and money are the two problems. People didn't know what it was, but they knew it was expensive, and I think that was probably the bottom line for it. So Allison, you haven't had your shot yet. You watched all 4 hours of Jenny's video and you were like, yes girl, preach.
Of course I did. I mean, so I was looking forward to
Boo.
the hoop-de-doo halcyon at some point. Like, that's what I wanted. And this is just like, this is like a dystopian nightmare, because they're just going to have people who are Imagineers for a living sitting in this decaying structure and watching all of the stuff like sort of fall apart and not be taken. I mean, I don't know. What are they going to do? Gut it and then like just have like standard offices? There are no windows, so you're just going to like sit in a box. So I imagine they'll just leave things there and just poured in desks or whatever, and people have to like sit and work in this place that's going to be like sort of falling apart, just as we've all watched Wonders of Life do that, like in the festival space. It was a similar thing. But it's going to be like where people are thinking up ideas. It's like really just seems like bad juju, but like that's what their decision is.
Yeah, no, like I said, maybe they all sit there and it's like a combined idea of, we're going to use this space because we don't have any other place to put you while you're making Monstropolis. But also, while you're here, maybe noodle on what we could do with these things around you. Meanwhile, they're probably taking souvenirs off the wall to take with them when they go back. I don't know. But again, I feel like we decided it came back to marketing and money. My biggest problem with this whole thing was that they teased us. They said, you know what? Don't worry. Yes, it's closing and we're going to get that tax money, but don't worry, it's coming back. We're not ready to tell you yet, but so maybe there is still a chance. Maybe there is still something out there. But before we move on from this topic, I do have 2 super chats that are related to it. So Desi, are you ready to represent here? Because I mean, Shannon was going to dance, so
It depends on what the super chat says when it comes to my beloved Starcruiser, if I'm going to give you something good or not.
This one's from Jungle Cruiser. How ironic, Starcruiser is going to be a museum to those who created it, never to be seen by those who wanted to experience it. What a joke. Yes, that's very, very true. And again, I loved it. I think that, anybody who went probably enjoyed it, except for Jenny. Everybody else had a great time, and I don't know. Was it expensive? Absolutely, it was super expensive. But at the same time, I think it was a good thing. Here's one more. Wait a minute. There you go. All right. This just in: the Polynesian to be converted to a maintenance shed for the monorail, says Fire Chief 66. So I don't. You know what?
Oh my God, that
I'm
would
gonna call
be
shenanigans.
just as devastating for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I'm not sure that that's happening. I remember when, Allison, when we first started talking about the Starcruiser, when it was just like a pipe dream way back in the day, and we were talking about it, and some people were saying, oh, well, I can stay at Pop for, $150, $200 a night. Why would I spend $1,000 a night on a hotel? So don't you feel like most people
It's not a
didn't
hotel.
get it?
There was that, but there was also a crowd who were like, yeah, I will pay any amount of money. But then like the idea of being completely cut off for like 3 days and then that's your whole vacation. I think a lot of people coming from out of state were like, oh, that's hard to manage. And they just like didn't fit it into their lives, basically. I'm sure marketing had something to do with it, but a lot of people I knew who just like not theme park people were excited about it and then just never actually scheduled and booked like they planned to earlier on.
Yep. No, totally. Okay. So again, we will we will wait to see what things will happen in the future. But obviously, until probably 2027 or maybe beyond, depending on how long it takes to gut Muppet Vision Theater and put up a roller coaster inside and all that kind of stuff. We'll see how long it takes. But these people are supposed to be housed there to be able to build Monstropolis, and at least something good is coming that we can actually go to, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about this. It's a happy story. Sort of. It's a kind of exciting story, I feel like, is that the cannons that are on Rise of the Resistance are finally working again, but only in Disneyland. So if you guys are familiar with Rise of the Resistance, this is, this huge e-ticket attraction that was built for Hollywood Studios and for Disneyland, and touted as this like next level attraction, breaks all the freaking time. One of the biggest problems that was happening in the early days of it is that the cannon room, which if you haven't been in there, it's a room that you ride straight through, and you're like in the middle of the battle. On the right hand side, you're seeing the like out the window of the ship, and you're seeing fights happen, and then on the left hand side there's cannons. Now I don't quite understand how a cannon fires through that window without
Right.
like us like getting blown out of the airlock or whatever, but we'll suspend disbelief on that. So the cannons would move forward and backwards, and your car would move like it would stop and like back up, and there was a sensor that would, if the cannon got too close to the car, it would call timeout on the entire ride. It would go 101. Everybody would have to evacuate. So rather than fix it at the time, they were like, oh, I got a really good idea. Let's just turn it off. And so then your car would go through that room, and if you had never been on it when the cannons worked, your car stops, and then it moves backwards, and then it moved forward again. You're like, what are we doing? So, I mean, it was a really cool, neat effect, but I'm going to go to Allison first on this one, because, Allison, you never got to ride it with working cannons, right?
I didn't never got to ride this with working cannons. I've only seen them working in videos from when the first debut. But it's weird because the first time I went on, I was just so like amazed, because the ride it is incredible, even with a lot of effects not working. Even if like all the animatronics don't work, all the things are broken, it's still pretty amazing, even in B mode. But this is something that I've always wanted to see, and I'm really sad they're not fixing it yet, or seeming in any rush to fix it in Walt Disney World. This is something I'd really, really like to ride with the original intent. But I also understand that like when something opens, that is when you see it at its best, and a Yeti situation always happens. There's always an effect, at least one that's like pretty major, that goes away within the first like 3 months of operation. And unfortunately, like this is the one.
Did everybody here see the working Yeti? Like I did. Okay. All right.
I did.
Good. We got to see it in its prime, because honestly, when you lose something like that, and that's a great point, Allison, when you lose something like that, the attraction kind of fades a little bit, especially if you know what was supposed to happen, and you go with somebody who's never been before. You take your kids, and you're like, oh, you're gonna love this, and it's like, was there supposed to be something in that room? You're like, okay, yeah, there was supposed to be something, and it happens sometimes even in the pre-show stuff. Our friend Allie was out in Disneyland and was reporting back, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so much better now that these cannons are working. But she's like, but there was some stuff like monitors broken in the pre-show room, and I'm like, oh man, like it's such a big deal experience that you have to pay for a Lightning Lane single pass to be able to get on this thing, and then or wait up to 180 minutes to get on it, and then you get in there and it's broke, or pieces of it are broken. But Stephanie, when I asked if you guys wanted to talk about this, you said finally and yes with 3 exclamation points.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene, my favorite room that you go in on this ride, and it has been since the beginning. I was very lucky. We were able to do a preview, and this is before Edge even opened. And yes, we got to see the working cannons at Disney World, and they worked for a while. I think it was maybe our next couple of trips later that they stopped working, and I thought, well, maybe that was just a fluke. But then I was told by a CM that there was a piece that broke, and that Disney did not have the replacement for it, and therefore it would be too costly because the business that made the piece went out of business, and it would be too costly to get said piece. So I thought to myself, why? Because Disney makes everything like I'm sure it came from China. Anyway, so, but yeah, apparently they're able to get it back to work. So that's a good thing. Hopefully Disney World will do the same.
Hey, remember that time that they couldn't find a piece for the People Mover and it was closed for like a year? Yeah.
Right.
Desi?
I just don't understand why this is only in California. Why can't we have nice things at Walt Disney World in Galaxy's Edge? California gets everything. They get Boba Fett. They get Fennec Shand. Eventually, we got Mando and Grogu, but like, we want nice things too. Please, you already took away my Star Cruiser. Please give me back the cannons.
Yep.
Yeah,
Jeff
exactly.
Mahali.
What happened was they only could get one set of the pieces that they needed. And so
Right.
they just decided they were already in California at the time. But once we have Imagineers living behind Hollywood Studios, maybe we'll get more stuff. I mean,
Don't
that
give
could be
me
an
hope.
upside to the Star Cruiser. don't give me hope. Wow. Okay. Speaking of hope, there's a survey going on about Communicore Hall. Funny thing about that, folks, if you've never watched ParksCenter, I have a big problem with Communicore Hall. I don't know if you guys know. I don't like this. I don't like this. I mean it. I don't like this. We talked about this from the beginning, that there was this beautiful concept art for it that's like, oh, this is what this beautiful space is going to be. And then Disney was like, yep, here it is. It looks like the food hall at the museum. And everybody complained. And they're like, oh, wait till the festival comes. It's going to look so much better. And then, when the festival hits and it looks like, the discount rack at Saks Fifth Avenue over here, and then we were like, okay, wait a minute, it's finally going to look good when it comes to Festival of the Arts, and indeed they did make it look like a museum, but I give them props for that. That is, we're happy that they finally did something close to what the artwork looked like, but now they've got a survey that they put out asking people what they thought of Communicore Hall. And it said, during which of the following have you previously visited Communicore Hall during a trip to Epcot? Because if they said, the Food and Wine Festival, we probably weren't going to get as good an answer as if they said the Festival of the Arts, or, if they said don't recall. And it's like, would you say the Communicore Hall was better during this festival? Yeah, it actually was. So honestly, again, we've all talked about how we love old Epcot, and the old Epcot Communicore halls or Communicore were fine. Those buildings were great, and they knocked them down with grand designs of building something huge and big, and then COVID happened, and they're like, let's just still knock it down, because I hadn't yet. They're like, still knock it down, but let's build something really small, and then we'll try to do something with this space. So Stephanie, how do we get our hands on this survey and start to slant the answers on it?
I don't know. If I had that, I would go ahead and distribute it to all of us. Yeah, I'm excited to actually go in there. I have not been in there yet, Rob. I've intentionally avoided it. So I don't want to waste my time. It's very limited, and I want to be able to do what I need to do. And now I'm interested to go in there and see it during Festival of the Arts. So I'm very happy that's what they've done. I think the lighting looks great. I think all of the, props and the costuming looks great too. So yeah, maybe they are on the right track now. Finally, maybe they're going to convert it from a cafeteria to a museum finally.
Right. Well, this survey, again, says, how would you rate your overall experience with Communicore Hall during this festival, underlined, compared to Communicore Hall during the International Food and Wine Festival? Would you say the Communicore Hall during this festival was much better, somewhat better? Allison, have you been in Communicore Hall at all? And would you say it is everything you always hoped it would be?
I mean, it feels like an airport food court, but airports now are actually more beautiful. I don't know if anyone's been to LaGuardia in the last couple of years, but LaGuardia is more Epcot than Communicore Hall. LaGuardia has this amazing fountain, which they took away from us at Epcot. There's no more Fountain of Nations, which is on the wall behind me, and they have it in the middle of the terminal in LaGuardia, and it plays music, and the water comes down in like graphics, so like like music notes and all sorts of things that go with the water. And I look at that every time, and I get the Epcot feels. And then I walk into Communicore Hall, and I'm like, "Can I please go back to the airport that I came from, because this is an Epcot." And I'm really glad that they put something in it. It reminds me a bit of like Museum of the Moving Image in New York, where they have really beautiful, cool sets with costumes. You can see like Star Wars costumes and all sorts of things. It's there, but like, I don't know, that's appropriate to me for a museum in New York. I want something in Epcot to feel Epcot. Give me robots or something. I don't know. Sorry, the timer went off a while ago.
Man, you were aiming high. Give me robots. I would love for you to get this survey and then for you to respond and then say, see attached about LaGuardia Airport and how you can do a little bit better. Again, I feel like I've probably poked fun at it, but I think the entire internet has poked fun at Communicore Hall, and I feel like it's one of those things that finally, you know, it seems like they're listening, but it seems also still tone deaf. They clearly know people don't like it, and they're like, so when we put exhibits in it, do you like it better or worse than the rack of half-price shirts? Better, worse? Which one do you think? I mean, it's like they're still not quite, they're not admitting that it was bad at this point. If they're asking, do you want it to not suck? Check yes or no. So
no,
we'll
notice
talk.
the survey didn't come out until after this festival. They didn't have any surveys during the previous festivals. How do you feel about Communicore Hall?
It was just so funny. Desi, I think you and I both a lot of times will say we reserve judgment until we see it, and we saw it as before any festival. And we're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they're just holding off for the festival. And then here comes Food and Wine. It's like, no, that's not what they're holding off for. But yeah, so again, it's good to see that they're doing something with it, but still obviously a little bit disappointing. Let's move on and talk about The Sky is Falling, which is not all that incorrect. People who were riding Soarin' apparently were, as they were walking through the queue, parts of the ceiling just kind of started to fall. This may be kind of sensationalizing the news by saying the sky is falling, but like, just check out this cast member's expression as this thing is dangling from the ceiling, and he's like, oops, like, I mean, like, this is not good. So I mean, it obviously speaks to a bigger maintenance issue, and you know, we know that Disney does a good job with painting things, but maybe they need to start checking the ceilings for stuff as well. Here's some after they had patched it up. What a great patch job this is. Now, this is obviously a temporary patch job, I hope. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of damage that's happening there. Allison, you look at this, do you go, hey, well, I can't even imagine what you're thinking.
I mean, I think there's a little like legal perspective. There's a legal concept called res ipsa loquitur, which means like the thing speaks for itself. And in like civil tort litigation, when something looks so hazardous and is so like kind of patently absurd, you don't really need to prove much because the thing speaks for itself. And this is like the quintessential example of what that would be. If anybody was actually injured from it, it's like, oh, clearly there's a maintenance issue. We don't need to really dig into this. Like, this kind of thing isn't supposed to just happen to a ceiling.
No? Interesting. Yeah. I honestly, I look at this and it's a little bit scary because I don't know, like, you know, I mean, again, if something like if the decals are getting peeled off the wall in the Chinese theater, you notice it and you fix it. And if like there's paint that needs to be done, that's great. And if you have regular maintenance on an attraction, but who's like, hey, has anybody checked the ceiling in Soarin' recently? Do you think that that's going to be okay and safe? And even that part is not like, we're not talking about old Epcot there either. Some of the stuff like Imagination, I've been in the Magic Eye Theater in that lobby area and just during rain and seen it just pour down with buckets all over the place. That's original Epcot building. This is not an original Epcot building because they took out our veggie fruit. They built this entire walkway. So this is all fairly newer stuff. But Desi, when you see that thing like hanging from there, that reminds me of like when Kylo pulls the ceiling down in the Starcruiser to bring it full circle.
That's exactly like that. I mean, when I get my job in Imagineering, I hope that my desk, my cubicle is right underneath of that chandelier that's falling. I appreciate that the guy looked shocked and it wasn't just like, oh, yep, this is expected. Just another day here at Walt Disney. I mean, what is he going to do? He's probably like, who do I call? What do I do with this? How do I get guests away? People are getting their phones out, taking pictures with it. Like, I feel bad for the cast member. What is he supposed to do in that situation?
Well, I love this. This is my favorite part is where this cast member runs over to get to pick up the phone and call somebody. Yeah, call somebody. Do that. Like, I don't know, like, call someone. Like, oh, yep, that shouldn't be that way. I should get Gary on the phone. We definitely shouldn't have all this here. Like, yeah, that's a little bit scary. But again, it seems like it's like, I don't know how you maintain something like that, and I'm thankful that no one was hurt. But it's definitely fell in the area of some cast members and some guests. So, again, very thankful.
You're always thinking about maintenance when it comes to attractions and the rides and making sure that the ride vehicles are working. You're not always thinking about, hey, are the ceiling tiles in the queue area going to be okay?
I mean,
Not
I will
top
now.
of mind.
I mean, as I walk by, I'll be like, oh, that doesn't look good. But again, thinking about the Magic Eye Theater, it was pouring down rain once, and we went in to like hide from the rain, thinking, okay, well, we'll just go watch the Pixar Shorts Festival, which they didn't run because I think they thought if it runs, then we got to kick people out the back, and if we kick people out the back, they're not going to want to go. So let's just cancel it, and they just let people hang out in the lobby, and there was, Mickey was there, posing for pictures as Mickey is prone to do, and while that's happening, there's like literally it's still raining inside. It was like. It was bad, and we've also seen some cool leak things popping off of the top of the Imagination building. So yeah, I don't know how you fix all that kind of stuff, but somebody should do something. All right, let's move on to the next topic because and again, I don't know if this entertains anybody but me, but I love to call this. It came from the parks. I feel like it's just me. I made that graphic just for myself. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that at home. I don't know, but this is where we go through some of the weirder stories that have happened on the website, and we kind of throw them all together. This is usually something that's happened with a guest in the parks. I know that Kamila always was surprised there wasn't more of these stories that had to do with people getting drunk in Epcot. Some of them are just people doing really weird things. So this is how we play this game, is that I will list off the options of the stories. And again, usually the longer the title, the more bizarre the story is. And then each of our panelists will choose one to talk about. It could be the same one if you prefer. Let's take a look at some of these things here. Hang on a second. Sorry, I get so excited. It's great. So the first one is drunk woman gets arrested, trespassed, and tasered at Walt Disney World Hotel after attacking her own mother. Again, the longer the title. Woman caught trying to bring leftover cocaine to the Magic Kingdom. Leftover cocaine. Okay. Guest thrown out of the Magic Kingdom for blocking Casey's corner and poking the sheriff. That might be... I may not be old enough to know what poking the sheriff means. And then Florida woman tries to enter backstage area, walks into closed Epcot, and bites law enforcement who now can't testify against her. And then this one's actually a feel-good. I threw this in case, somebody wanted to talk about feel-good. Disney cast members and Reedy Creek Fire Department crew praised for impressive level of care in emergency situation. Now, I don't expect you guys to go for the fuzzy feel good because the others seem way more interesting. But if you want to, it's there. We'll start clockwise. We'll go with Allison first. Is there one in particular that just caught your eye and you're like, let me talk about this one?
I'm torn, but I'm gonna go talk about this leftover cocaine because I just feel like I can't give official legal advice. You know this, but I practiced criminal law for a long time earlier in my career, and you don't have to tell the security person when he says, "Is this cocaine?" You don't have to answer yes. You don't have to answer at all. You can apologize, try to leave, exit the area, take everything with you, because when you answer yes, they have to call law enforcement. And now you've just told them what it is. They've got more than probable cause to arrest you, and then take that vial and test it and confirm that it was indeed cocaine. But also maybe just like make sure the illicit substances are not in your bag when you were entering Walt Disney World property, and certainly not of all the parks, of all the water parks, the Magic Kingdom seems like the worst place for you to try to be bringing in a vial of cocaine. It's not official legal advice, but I think it's sound.
Yes. No, I agree. I just can't get over leftover cocaine. Leftover. Like it was in like a Tupperware just with the burp lid, and you just, you got to have that. She replied saying, yes, it was cocaine, but she forgot it was in her bag. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, of course that's cocaine, but I forgot it was in my bag.
One note is that the title is a little misleading. It said she tried to bring it in. It does seem like she legitimately forgot it was there, so she didn't really try. It was inadvertent. We didn't have the appropriate mens rea here, but it doesn't matter. Clear your bag.
She also had it in her pocket. So there was a second vial that was in her pocket. I could see
that
being
was
like,
the leftover.
oh, dang, I forgot that it was, still in my bag from Coachella or whatever it was that she said that she went to. My bad. But then she had a second vial in her pocket. I get that. I could understand accidentally leaving something in your backpack and you just throw other things on top of it and you forget that it's there. But if it's in your pocket, I don't see how that's an accident.
It's the pants from last night that she's got.
Yeah.
Hilariously, you're going to wear your Coachella pants into Fantasyland.
So basically,
just like chef's kiss.
So basically, Desi, you're saying if you have one vial on you, that should be okay. But if you have two, that's ridiculous. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I could understand forgetting that you had something in your backpack. I do not understand forgetting that you have something in your pocket.
Great. In the words of Alanis Morissette, I've got cocaine in my pocket. No, wait, that's not how that song goes. All right, Stephanie, what's your pick here?
I'm going to take the fireworks lady, because when we were there in August, we saw some sort of a skirmish between cast member and call security. And now, if you notice, it's not just Disney security anymore. They actually do have Florida law enforcement at present. And I guess that's since, COVID or that. Yes, there have been more incidences. So now they actually have real cops out there, not just the Disney ones. But yeah, it feels like, they're just herding cattle for the most part. And you want to stand there, you want to get a good spot, but you cannot block egress. You can't block, a path for somebody to get by. And then the cast members do have the wands and they tell you, keep moving, keep moving. So it just, it's one of those things. If they say keep moving, you have to move. You cannot stand on the corner near Casey's, eat your hot dog, and watch the fireworks by yourself. So please obey cast member law and the cast member rules, because they have them there for a reason. And yeah, I do think that there needs to be some sort of an additional area maybe. At Disneyland, you can watch the fireworks behind the castle. You can watch them on Small World, and that, the projections and everything like that. So you have more areas of viewing there. And at Disney World, everybody wants to stand down Main Street. And I get it, and I will say this. We've been there in the park where everyone will sit. We've had that happen one time where they let us actually sit down in front of the main stage, down in front of the castle stage, and watch the fireworks. And it was glorious. But that was back in 2017 or something. And everybody has to stand because, again, if there were to be an emergency, they need people to be able to move quickly, and they don't want to be tripping over people. So there is a reason for it, and you just got to obey the rules.
Okay, so poking the sheriff is what now? No, I'm just kidding. I also love that they use the world famous "I paid my ticket to be here" line.
Well, yes, we all did.
I paid my money, but don't worry, I will always follow cast member law, and I will always call it that from now on. So thank you for doing that.
Disney
Desi,
law.
what you got? One of these or another one?
I mean, I already said what I wanted to say about the cocaine lady, but uh, I'm going to piggyback off of Allison. I am not a lawyer, so it's not legal advice, but something I think is sound advice. If you throw your mother into a wall when law enforcement arrives, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to be like, yeah, I threw her into the wall. Now arrest me. Just gonna throw that out there. That's my legal
She had
advice.
it coming.
Oh my god.
Attacked her 68-year-old mother.
Who was packing for her? She was helping.
Yeah, I guess so. It is always very interesting to me about these stories that they seem to come in waves, and I think that it's just maybe like our reporters probably went and said, you know what, it's a pretty slow news week. Let's go to the police blotter and see all the things that have happened this week, and see if there was any poking the sheriff going on, and so that's for real. So anyway, that's how that goes. Thank you guys for participating in that. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and just touch on this one quickly, so we can spare a little bit of time. Is that kite tails? I don't know if you guys remember kite tails. It was a thing that happened for 19 minutes back in the day. Kite tails was a thing that happened over where Rivers of Light used to be, over in that amphitheater at Animal Kingdom. The docks were finally removed from where the kites would launch the kites from, which I think it feels like bad timing to me to do this now, because I feel like you could have brought kite tails back when you've closed an entire land or half a land. Wouldn't this be a good time to have something else for people to do that probably wouldn't cost you all that much money? That seems like a weird choice to me on that one. What do you think, Allison? Did you ever see kite tails, actually? I mean, again, it happened so quickly.
I missed it. I'm sad I didn't get to see the flaming kites. I mean, honestly, I'm glad there's like a little bit of a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of attention. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a little weird they left the pylons in for now. But
yeah,
stick up for a while.
No. Yep. Desi, did your boys like seeing the show at all?
They didn't really care about it, but you're like, oh, they could have brought kite tails back. Was anybody asking for it? I mean,
yeah,
there's a reason it went away. Okay. No, I don't think anybody cares or is sad other than Rob Whiteside that this kite tails platform has been taken away. Sorry.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Nobody else wants to do kite tails. Honestly, I feel like it's the best thing I ever saw in that in that amphitheater. And you've got a huge amount of real estate there, all this seating, and they did the Jungle Book Alive with Magic. No. And then they did Rivers of Light. And then they did kite tails. Do you feel it? It feels like you want to say something, Allison.
Rob, this is okay. So the way you posed that question, like this is the best offering they've had in this space. Is kind of like, did we like Communicore Hall better with the stuff in it or with the discount T-shirts? Like that's what the question feels like.
I feel like it's more along the lines of we need more stuff for people to do in the parks so that I can go ride the rides I want to ride. That's basically, it's all self-serving to me at this point. Would I be going back? I did watch Kite Tails. It was really weird because there was one where it was like, here's the show, and they would rotate the shows. There were two different ones. There was the Lion King one and the Jungle Book one. And then they just would do it randomly where they would just fly some kites every now and then. And so like it felt a little bit like the difference between the Great Moments in History with the Muppets, where it was like a full show, versus the one they did at Christmas where they unfurled a flag and waved at you and moved on. Like it was, but at least there was something there. And now again, you've closed down half a land and there's nothing there. Then find something else that could go there. I don't know. I mean, that it's just a thought, but Kite Tails no more.
Maybe they removed it. Maybe they removed it because they're putting something else there, and that gotten in the way.
Yes, I feel like that as much as they've bragged about the smallest things at D23, I feel like we would have heard. But yeah, maybe there's something secret coming. Let's move on to talk about something across the hall at Universal Mardi Gras. Went too far there. Mardi Gras happens at Universal in Orlando. They do this, and it just started this weekend. You can do things like ride on a parade float and get some. I don't know. Do they have muffaletta and po' boys? I know that they have king cakes and beignets over there. So this festival happens around the same time as the Festival of the Arts, and they have concerts. T-Pain was there. T-Pain brought in so many people. They were like, "No mas, we have to cut it. There's no more. We can't. We have no more room." T-Pain, of all artists, like unless he was going to do "I'm on a boat on a loop," I don't know. I mean, that's a thing. We have two people who have experienced real Mardi Gras. Both of you, yes? No?
Yeah,
Allison,
of course.
you? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go.
Too, for the
Yeah.
record.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. All right, let's go around. Let's start with Allison. Have you looked at the offerings they have between the merchandise and the foods and the floats and all that stuff? And does this look like an event you'd love to go to?
Not anymore. No, I mean, before I lived 2 blocks from the start of the Uptown parades in New Orleans for 7 years, maybe. But now I know what good king cake tastes like, and I'm not interested in imposters. I also know what really amazing floats look like, and what the real energy from it, and what throws are like, not the dirty plastic beads that they throw at Universal. So no, not really interested. I like the real thing.
Okay, Stephanie.
I mean, I have to second that because, yeah, I mean, you go to real Mardi Gras and you're going to get some pretty incredible throws because each float has a themed throw to that float and some really impressive things that they toss at your head. But then I was kind of disappointed looking at these floats this year. I mean, it's a fun thing to do in the park. Absolutely. If you're there at Universal, go hang out, go, wave at some people and yell, "Throw me something, mister." But last year, I felt like their theme last year was better, and the floats and the costuming, I don't know, there was just something this year that I was kind of a little disappointed because it is the 30th anniversary, right? So anyway, that's what I think.
Yeah. All right, Desi.
I have no interest in this at all. Not just because I've been to real Mardi Gras, but because it's at Universal. Sorry.
Gotcha. Well, I know you did say you didn't want to talk about it, but then you were like, "Wait a minute, I've been
you're
to
like,
real
"Oh,
Mardi Gras."
You two have been to real Mardi Gras, right? And I'm like, "Oh, me too."
I'm so sorry. Please, my apologies. And real Mardi Gras is in New Orleans, is where I mean. Did you? Because they also celebrated in Florida, right? Somewhere Pensacola area-ish.
I used to live in
Mobile.
Pensacola,
Mobile does it, yeah.
but we would just
and
drive
all over the
to
world.
New Orleans.
I lived in Mainz,
Carnival,
yeah. Fasching in Germany is huge, and I lived in one of the 3 big cities that really do it up, just like New Orleans does. So many places do it, but Universal, not so much.
Mardi Gras is Universal.
Yeah.
Remember those billboards? That's what I was doing. Let's move on to talk about some special nights. So hard ticket events are a big thing, and we've talked about them before. We've talked about the Halloween parties and are they worth it, and Oogie Boogie Bash versus Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, the Christmas party, the Jollywood Nights parties, the things that Disney does. So there are 2 big after dark situations happening in California. One of them is something that hasn't ever happened before and is about to happen, and it's so confusing that I love it. It's the Universal Studios is doing their fan nights, and so it includes all of the most random of things. They're obviously going to have Back to the Future, but when I think Universal, I certainly always think Star Trek and One Piece, and no, that's so bizarre that they have all these offerings. Look at the Tribbles. That's great.
Is this Universal Florida or California?
No, this is California.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Desi's like, I'm not going either way, but I'd just like to know which Universal this is going to be in.
I might consider it for Back to the Future night.
I mean, but see, that's the thing. I think it's one night. It's like it's all happening. It's not like they do at Disneyland where it's like this is 90s night, this is Sweethearts night, this is fan night. So it's all going on. So you're getting back. You're not picking Back to the Future night. You're getting Back to the Future, One Piece, Star Trek, all of this stuff. So apparently they're recreating Hill Valley for this, and you've got Doc Brown out
That's
there
cool.
and things. Yeah, so tickets are on sale for this now. They're going to have, themed food. I kind of love this themed food right here with this, like, it looks like the out of time license plate and fire on either side of what could be just a giant cookie with chocolate icing on it.
It's cute.
But yeah, and they're going to have lots of merch that you're going to wish you had, Desi. I'm just saying, that's going to be a thing.
If it was in Florida, I'm not flying to California for that.
You're not? But again, if you look at the logo, so it's like here are the FanFest nights. There's going to be, I think, a Yoshi meet and greet there. Anime, Star Trek, Harry Potter, all your favorites are going to be there. It definitely looks interesting. So I can't wait to hear what comes of that. At the same time, Disneyland has had a sold out success with their Sweetheart Nights, which is actually going on now. It's part of the Disneyland After Dark series. We had folks out there that were getting all of the merch and the food and trying all that kind of stuff out. Stephanie, Sweethearts Night they do Sweethearts Night. They're doing a 90s night, and they're doing Star Wars. Are any of those that you wish you could go to and try out, or have you been to any of them?
I would love to go to all three, honestly. I would love if all three came to Florida. That's what I would love. I like that they do different things on the coast. But truly, I mean, you've been to the Star Wars weekends and had a fantastic time. Why don't they bring that back to Florida? And I really wish that they would do something. We are there pretty regularly on Valentine's Day, and they really don't do much at Florida for Valentine's Day. You know what I love? I love specific merch. If you're going to talk about popcorn buckets and that kind of thing, I love stuff that actually says Walt Disney World, not just Disney Parks. I love things. For this event, for Valentine's, they have Donald and Daisy, and they have Mickey and Minnie, and I would buy all of that. Sure, bring it down, but bring it to our coast too. So yeah, I think that would be great. And then the cavalcade that they did with the different couples, they had Megra and Hercules. They had some couples that you don't see all the time. People, they need to do that more often. Absolutely. Yeah, and that looks great. They repurposed and reused, some of their floats there, but it looked wonderful. So, and it's so cute. I think it's a great idea. And yeah, I wish they would do a 90s night in Walt Disney World. That would be awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely looks like fun. And like I said, this one sold out. The 90s night still has some tickets available. It's like March 4th and 6th randomly. For the 90s night. So again, it's almost like they choose times purposely that none of us can go. It's great. I love that they've figured that one out. But Allison, have you looked at these and said, hey, the same thing, you wish they would be here on the East Coast, or you wish you could go to them?
Yeah, I wish they had them for more dates in California, because I feel like it's like 2-4 nights or something. It's like hard to arrange to make that work when there's like Jollywood Nights is like a number of days throughout like an 8-week period. And I feel like everything in California is like, it's just so fleeting. And so it's hard to get out there and make it for a thing. But yeah, I wish there were more of them, more options. And yeah, I wish there was the diversity of events also on the East Coast.
Yep. No, same.
I want a Star Wars Sweethearts Night.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, that would be.
Stephanie mentioned Valentine's like treats and things. So it looks like they basically just have some food available at Walt Disney World and Disneyland for Valentine's Day. This one always makes me sad. Carl and Ellie hanging on to that other side. So lots of chocolate, lots of heart-shaped things, and I mean, it's nice that they do these, but also it doesn't look like they do as many things just for Valentine's Day as they do for the others. But it's Valentine's Day. All right, so let's move. I'm going to skip the construction part, and just so you guys know, for construction, it was just going to be an update of the things they're doing. They're adding Big Thunder had a piece of track that we caught them getting, and there's some permits that have been filed that are very vague. If you want to check out all of that kind of stuff, you can hit the wdwnt.com for all that information. There were, I think, 15 new permits that were filed, and many of them, it's like, what's going to be happening? So there's that. But let's talk about something that actually trended, at least for me, is the Jelly Rolls. And we've talked about this before. Jelly Rolls is going away. We knew that. For those of you who don't know, Jelly Rolls was a dueling piano bar, is a dueling piano bar at Disney's Boardwalk, which I've talked about. It seems like they can't really quite get the Boardwalk to be the thing that they originally had hoped that it would be. It used to have ESPN, it used to have the brewing company, it used to have all these other things that, and it's just it seems like, and again, Stephanie, you joked about it's always in a state of becoming. Boardwalk is always in a state of becoming. We talked about it closing, and Rob Bazemore was on the panel and said, "Why not Atlantic Dance Hall?" Like, why close this Atlantic instead of Atlantic Dance Hall? But our friend Piano Rob, we call him from News Tonight, used to play here, and during COVID, I think they all were furloughed, and so they went and found other places. And most of the people who played at Jelly Rolls back in the day, when we were kind of like engaged with it, are now at Boathouse, and so you can still see those guys there. So that's, if you're looking for the kind of the vibes and the feelings of what used to happen there, then that's where you can go. But I honestly, I've got to tell you, Allison, I've literally never stepped foot in Jelly Rolls. And please don't tell Piano Rob that, because I'm sure he'll be upset. But I have been in Boathouse when he's been there. What do you think about Jelly Rolls closing and moving?
I think the saddest thing for me is that it's not moving on Disney property, and it's moving, somewhere else in the Central Florida area, because then it's much less likely that I'm going to go. I think, my Instagram is filled with oh, there's this cool bar in Orlando, because it knows how many things I follow for Disney purposes, and I am very unlikely to go to a restaurant that's not or a bar that's not on Disney property. So I think it probably could have gotten a new home somewhere else on Disney property. I like the idea. They say it's likely to become a jazz club. I think that actually would fit the state of becoming that Boardwalk is continuing to try to be. I like that term for it. So that's the hardest part. I think it needed a smaller, more intimate venue. It's a little bit large, I think, for what it was, and there are lots of other homes that it could have on property at other hotels where it would fit the theme, because it's so flexible. But it's sad that it won't be on Disney property anymore.
True. And to what you were talking about, Scott Gustin posted on Twitter that Jelly Rolls suggested they might reopen in a new location, but did confirm the new location will not be on Walt Disney World property. But you make a great point. When you go to Disney, you're kind of there's so much to do at Disney, you don't really want to leave Disney property. And the funny thing is that I probably would drive as far to go to something Dahlia as I would to drive off grounds. But no, I want to stay in the safe bubble that is Disney. So, Stephanie, anything on this?
I'm just going to try to go before they close. I've never been inside like you, Rob. I want to go and experience it before, the end. And I do feel like the Boardwalk, when they first opened it, they had people on stilts, they had jugglers, they had all these live performers out on the actual Boardwalk, so that you could just walk around and see, magicians and that sort of thing. And that's what we're missing. Bring back the live performers.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I before they Disney Quest this mother, it would be nice to go in and actually see what it's all about. I remember and Pete Carney was possibly going to be on tonight, so apologies to Pete Carney for getting bumped on this one, but I will be talking to Pete on Wednesday night. We'll be talking to him on D+. But Pete was always a huge fan of Jelly Rolls, and I feel like anytime I was there, we were there for an event or something, Pete was always like, all right, let's go to Jelly Rolls. Now, it's time. Let's go. So I know that it was a big deal to a lot of people, and I'm sure that it will be missed. But Yeah. Let's move on to the final topic. And Desi, I want to talk to you about this because we're going to talk about plastics. And I know I can already feel Allison's eyes rolling on this one, so we'll get to her in a second on this one. Um, but they are. When I say plastics, I usually mean the most important ones that are popcorn buckets and sippers. Now I have
In the parks.
believe it or not, I have a rule. I have rules. I only get Disney parks popcorn buckets, and they have to be like at a popcorn stand. Even though I hate it when they fill it with popcorn, it has to be from a popcorn stand. So if they have it on a shelf, I usually don't buy it. If it's a sipper or a popcorn bucket, for some reason, it's in my mind that I have to get it there because it's going to be a limited edition. And I also don't buy them at movie theaters, which I know that you have purchased some Moana stuff at movie theaters.
That is the only thing I've purchased from a movie theater is the
Okay.
boat full of nachos for Moana 2, just because I thought it was funny.
No, not just because you thought it was funny, because you thought it was awesome. Let's be honest about this. But our good friend Jungle Cruiser said last week in chat, are we not going to talk about the popcorn buckets? And it's like, well, it does seem bad not to talk about popcorn buckets. But let's run down this one. Captain America, the Brave New World movie comes out on Valentine's Day, because what Valentine doesn't want her significant other to take her to see Captain America movie on Valentine's Day? So this popcorn bucket, I actually kind of dig this one because it sort of collapses. It's a shield. That almost makes me want to break the rule there on that one. Does he rank it 1 to 7? What do you give that one?
I don't love it. I think it's weird that it's collapsible. I don't know. I'm not loving that one. The ones that I thought I liked were from a movie theater chain I had never heard of.
Cinemark?
So if you scroll down on that page, there was like one with the Red Hulk like looking like he was pushing over the popcorn, and then Cap's helmet. I feel like those were much
it looks like
cuter.
the wings.
No, not
what you're
that
talking
one. Nope.
Oh, the Hulk
Yeah.
one is this one?
No, keep scrolling. Oh, down, down. There it is. Those are the ones that I thought were the better ones, but I've never even heard of this theater chain, Marcus Theaters. Never heard of it. So
You've never
not
heard of
an
Marcus
option for me.
Theaters? That's
No.
crazy. I haven't either.
And
And
I
then,
have an 18 year, and I went out of my way to go to the Regal one because the Regal one had the Moana nacho boat. I've never even heard of Marcus Theaters. I think these popcorn buckets are cute, but I'm not driving to Georgia or wherever I need to go to get them.
understood. At Disneyland, they have a new store we talked about that opened up, the Wonderful World of Sweets. And what we failed to mention was they have a new little mascot named Poppy, and you can get a Poppy popcorn bucket. But this is that situation again where they're on the shelves. Universal does this too. So, I mean, Poppy, Desi, yes?
No, it's on a shelf. I'm sorry, I can't. It's not at a.
Thank you.
It's got the
Thank you.
pre-bagged popcorn. Like at least when you get Figment and it's the pre-bagged, it's like the colorful candy popcorn. I don't want pre-bagged yellow popcorn. I just
Yes,
if
by all
it's
means,
not fresh,
let's
it's not
be-
worth having.
Yes. No, we got a code to follow. I get it. Here's the one that they have at Universal, which I find funny because, again, Universal is famous for the buy them off the shelves, but also they took, for the 30th anniversary of Mardi Gras, to celebrate 30 fabulous years, they took the one from last year and they made it glittery.
It looks like they took the mold of Figment and made some tweaks to it.
Okay. How about this one? This is actually sold out at Disneyland, believe it or not. This is the Valentine's Day 2025, which honestly I like better than the 2024, which is just like a flat pink balloon. Are you feeling that one?
I'm feeling really good about my New Year's resolution so far.
So
Nothing here is speaking to me.
I know, in talking to Allison in the past, she's not a huge fan of the popcorn buckets. There's something about wasting money on it that I feel like.
What?
And so when I saw this one, I immediately thought, I need to give Allison a chance to talk about this one, because this one's from a movie theater. It's from the new movie Dog Man from DreamWorks, and it's a dog bowl. It's literally a dog bowl full of popcorn. Allison, do I need this bucket? Do I need this?
At least this one has like a use you could reuse it for. Like otherwise they're just like gather dust on a shelf until you die, and then it goes into the earth and kills the planet. At least this one might feed your pet for a short period of time. I don't understand these. I don't understand. These companies are printing money, and we are, lining up. People wait in queues to give the companies money so that they can give you plastic that you must then find a place for in your home. And this is amongst the worst quality I've seen. This whole roundup.
It is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I the dog bowl one I feel like is almost a statement. There's this TV show that I like on Apple TV called Mythic Quest, and in it it's a video game, and the guy made an in-game thing that people could buy that was $250,000. He's like, we're just gonna put that out there. No one's ever gonna buy it. And someone did, and he's like, life's lost all meaning. Like at this point, I'm feeling that with this dog bowl, that they're just like, you know what? Let's just for silliness, let's just take dog bowls and put Dogman on the side of it, and then just see if people will pass as a popcorn bucket, and people are like, yep, 2 please, 1 to keep nice, and then 1 to actually use. I don't know. Anyway, before we go, anything, Stephanie, you want to say about any of these? Again, like what you like. If you are like, man, I had my eye on that one, go get it, because I love it when people live their best life. And for me, I have a popcorn bucket problem, and am proud of it, ish. But Stephanie, anything final thoughts on that one before we wrap up here?
Couple of things. So I agree with Allison. If it has a stated purpose, then sure, maybe that justifies the purchase. I like it when I can reuse things as decor or seasonal things, I will say that we're trying to minimize microplastics in our exposure to our food. So I guess that's the real reason why you don't put your popcorn into your bucket, Rob, whenever you purchase it. That's really what it's about. So that's a good thing. But yeah, we basically live in the world of Idiocracy. So go see that movie if you haven't.
The world of Idiocracy, yeah. Let me ask you a question. Does this meet the world of Idiocracy?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Do you take your lunch to work in that?
Well, I work from home, so yes.
Do.
Yes. So none of the kids make fun of me. It's fine. All right. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your Sunday night with us. We have another super chat from Jungle Cruiser. It's caramel corn. Desi is what what Jungle Cruiser says.
Sorry.
Oh wait. So we actually we have a couple here real quick. So again, thank you Jungle Cruiser for that one. We appreciate it. It's caramel corn. And Desi, I feel like the reason you point out these super chats is because they all have your name in them. That's what's. I feel like that's what's up. The other one is from. Wait, hold it. The other one is from the Trauma Factor. Hey Disney, or hey Desi. Oh hey Rob. So
your name's in it too.
That is true. That is true. Thank you, Trauma Factor. Thank you, Jungle Cruiser. Thank you, everybody, again, for watching. We appreciate you hanging out with us on your Sunday night when you could be watching the Grammys. Oops, I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. I do want to tell you, though, we have contractual obligations with the NFL not to rain on their parades. So out of a courtesy, we are not going to have a show next Sunday night so we don't upstage the Super Bowl. I know that's going to be sad. You guys can just send me messages on Twitter. That's fine. We'll talk there. Also, the week after, there will be no show, but we will be back on February 23rd with another ParksCenter. But don't fear, because this Wednesday night, again, Mr. Pete Carney is coming in on February 5th to come talk about the Mighty Ducks. I've been trying to get somebody to talk about the Mighty Ducks for a while. He's going to come on, and we'll talk about the Mighty Ducks. Last week, Desi and Nick and I talked about Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and next week, Allison is going to be on talking about Beauty and the Beast, and then after that we're going to do a BTA, meaning behind the attraction. We're going to do the Nighttime Spectaculars episode, and then more to come, and trying to get Stephanie nailed down on a couple dates too. So thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. And also big shout out to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS. They're the WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys for being part of the family. And if you are a WIGS member, there is a quick post show after this. So thank you guys again. We appreciate you. Have an amazing week, and go Chiefs. I feel like maybe just for Taylor. Let's just go Chiefs. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next time. Perfect. Just lovely. All right, hang on one.